My name is Diana Myers, and when I was 13 years old, my parents packed my entire life into two garbage bags and left me on the porch like I was nothing. 15 years later, they showed up at my uncle's will reading with a lawyer, expecting millions. But what happened inside that room didn't just shock them, it destroyed everything they thought they knew about me. And when Clause 7 was read, my mother stood up, completely frozen, like the ground had disappeared beneath her. Because in that moment, she realized something terrifying. She had lost me forever. To understand why that moment mattered, you have to go back to the summer of 2010. I was 13 years old, and I truly believed I was the problem in my family. We lived in a small house in Southeast Portland, nothing fancy, but to me, it always felt like there wasn't enough space for me in it. Not emotionally, not mentally, and definitely not in my mother's heart. My older sister, Tiffany, she was everything my mom loved. Blonde hair, blue eyes, loud laugh. People used to say, "She's your twin, Sandra," and my mom would smile like she had won something. Me? I looked like my dad's side of the family. Brown hair, quiet, observant. My mom never said anything cruel directly, but she didn't have to. The silence said enough. By the time I turned 12, I started noticing the differences. Tiffany had a college fund, I didn't. Tiffany had birthday parties with decorations and guests. Mine were just cake at the kitchen table. Once I asked my mom why. She looked at me and said something I'll never forget. "You'll figure things out." That was the moment I understood. I wasn't the priority. I was the backup plan, the child who would adapt. Then came the opportunity that changed everything. I applied secretly to a STEM summer academy. I didn't tell anyone because hope wasn't safe in that house. When the acceptance letter came, I remember holding it in my hands, shaking. Out of 2,000 students, I got in, full scholarship. For one day, I felt important. Then my sister found out about her own camp, and that night at dinner, my mom made a decision. "You'll decline your program," she said. "Tiffany's opportunity matters more." Something inside me snapped. No. That one word changed my life. 3 days later, I came home from the library, and my life was sitting on the porch. Two black garbage bags, everything I owned. My mother stood in the doorway, arms crossed. "I called your uncle," she said. "You'll live with him now." No argument, no discussion, just removal. I sat on that porch for 4 hours, in the dark, alone, waiting. My dad didn't come out. My sister watched from the window and disappeared. That night, something inside me broke, but something else was built in its place. Uncle Harold arrived just after 10 p.m. He didn't ask questions, he didn't hesitate. He just hugged me and said, "You have a home now." That was the first time someone chose me, and that changed everything. Over the next 15 years, I built a life. I worked harder than anyone around me, graduated top of my class, earned a degree in finance, became CFO of my uncle's company before I turned 26, while my parents, they never called, never checked, never asked if I was okay. Until one day, they suddenly remembered I existed, right after my uncle got sick. When Uncle Harold passed away in 2025, I knew something was coming, but I didn't expect what came next. My mother called me, not to comfort me, not to offer anything. She called to say, "You should come back. Your home is here." No comfort, no warmth, just a demand. And I knew something had truly changed. That was when the next chapter began. Not to reconnect, but to ask about the will. That's when I knew they weren't here for me. They were here for money. And they were ready to fight for it. They hired a lawyer, filed a claim, accused me of manipulating a dying man. But they didn't know something that had been sitting quietly for 15 years, waiting. The day of the will reading, the room was full. Lawyers, executives, charity representatives. And then they walked in, confident, smiling, certain they were about to win. But that confidence didn't last long, because when the lawyers started reading, everything began to fall apart. First, my uncle confirmed he was of sound mind. Gone. Then he addressed my father and revealed a debt, $80,000 never repaid. My father went pale. But that wasn't the real blow. Then came the document, the one my parents never thought would resurface. A legal paper signed in 2010, the day they threw me out. They didn't just abandon me, they signed away their parental rights, legally, completely. The room went silent. My mother stood up. "This means nothing," she shouted. But it meant everything, because legally, they weren't my parents anymore. They had no claim, no standing, nothing. And then came Clause 7, the moment that broke her. I leave everything to my adopted daughter, Diana. Adopted. That word hit like a shockwave. My uncle didn't just raise me, he made it official. He chose me completely, forever. My mother's face turned white, because in that moment, she realized she didn't lose money. She tried one last time. "Diana, we're still family." I looked at her calmly. "No," I said. "You ended that 15 years ago." No anger, no yelling, just truth. And truth is the hardest thing to fight. They left that room with nothing. No money, no victory, no control. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel small. I felt free. Weeks later, my mother emailed me, apologizing, trying to come back. But I had already moved on. Forgiveness? I gave that to myself. But access? That's earned. And she hadn't earned it. My sister did something different. She admitted the truth. No excuses, no manipulation. And for the first time, I gave someone from my past a chance. Slowly, carefully, on my terms. Because that's what healing really looks like. Here's the truth no one tells you. Family isn't defined by blood. It's defined by who shows up when you need them most. The people who break you are the same people who teach you how to rebuild yourself. I wasn't abandoned. I was redirected. And everything I have today, I earned it. So if someone in your life made you feel like you weren't enough, remember this. Their opinion is not your identity. And one day, the same people who doubted you will have to watch you win. If this story hit you, comment, "I choose myself," and subscribe for more real stories about strength, boundaries, and rising after betrayal. Because your story, it's not over yet.